Jacob. Peace to everybody here in the name of Jesus.
Peace, bro. Peace.
It's always good to come back and see familiar faces. Lesson. The title of today's lesson is Tradition of Man or God. And a lot of times, in the world, people don't realize that the things that they're doing are based majority on religion. So you have things that man have as tradition, which is actually based on religion. But you also have people who say they're not really religion. They don't really do religion, or they don't have no religion, or they have no background or whatever. But you'll find out that with everything that you've been doing, it is about religion. Even though you'll see people who say, I don't even go to church. Even atheists, they would say, they say they don't believe in God, but there is things that they do that you would say will make you say you believe in God. Because it's not what you say, it's about what you do. And when you're rooted in this world, they have a lot of stuff that they put on the table, which is tradition, but when we get into the lesson, we're going to find out what it's all about. So the title again, I say, is Tradition of Man or God. It might seem strange, but we're going to get into it and see something. I didn't put this on the lesson, but I want to read this because you got to make sure that when you're dealing with the true and living God, you got to understand that He has a certain order on how you're supposed to worship Him. And it's not according to how you feel, according to how you think. Because the scripture tell you where you think is real crazy. So I want to open up. We're going to read this Joshua the 24th chapter. Because they had a lot of times you got a lot of stuff that goes on. You read read old books, or you're reading the scriptures. You'll see things like, people worshiping false gods, and you hear that because nowadays they don't really talk about that no more. They act like far as worshiping God, it don't really exist. But really, trust me, there's false worship that's still going today. There's nothing new under the sun, and they haven't left. Even though you see people, you don't say, well, people, I don't really bow down, I don't do that. Trust me, it's an order. And Satan has got everybody deceived because what he has done is he incorporated in your tradition so that you think that you're not worshiping, but you are worshiping. But you in your mindset is just, what we doing, it ain't nothing bad. It don't seem bad what we doing. We ain't doing nothing wrong. But it's not about that. It's about what it is that you're practicing. So we're going to go to Joshua, the 24th chapter. Joshua, the 24th chapter. I don't have this on the handout. I just want to add this in there. Joshua, the 24th chapter, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Because the Lord required us to worship Him a certain way. Verse 14, you get there, brother, go ahead.
Now therefore fear the Lord, and serve Him in sincerity and in truth. Now,
He tells you to fear the Lord. Now, a lot of times people say, why would you fear God? They have made it where God, they have you thinking that God, just love everybody. He won't do any harm to you or nothing. But why would He tell you right here to fear Him? And then you would say, well, a lot of people will tell me, the stuff that you do today, why did you do this? Oh, well, God knows my heart. It's not really that bad. But you have to also know, like right here, He said, now in verse 14, he said, now therefore fear the Lord and serve Him in sincerity and in truth. So you have to serve the Lord in truth. So it's not always about, what you think in your heart is okay, or what I think is right. It's about the truth. It has to be truth. And what you're dealing with today, trust me, it's not the truth. But go ahead, brother.
And put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood.
Now you notice this is during the wilderness. This is basically when about to get into the land, and He's letting them know, hey, put away the gods. See, when you think of that, we always think, hey, gods and idols. We don't do that stuff, but trust me, that stuff is still here. It's still incorporated in stuff we do all the time. You just say have your mind erased on what it is that you think you're doing, and you don't think that it's idolatry, because they don't really talk about idolatry. But trust me, it's idolatry. And it's just like this here. But go ahead.
And in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood.
And those gods are still here. And we still serving those gods. Go ahead.
Or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
Because, hey, when it all boils down, when you finally get some understanding of this, you want to put away all those gods. Because it do sound crazy when people say, well, I got an idol in my house, I bow down. Most people say, I don't do that type of stuff. That's weird. But you incorporate it. You do it all the time. When we get through this lesson, you're going to see stuff that you're doing is idolatry. And trust me, you do bow down too. But go ahead.
Verse 16. And the people answered and said, God forbid that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods.
Now, that's it for that. But he said, and the people agree. They say they agree. But you got to make sure that you have the truth and the understanding. And first and foremost, you need to understand that the way and the condition of the world today is contrary to God. Because see, what Satan have you believe that, everything is fine, everybody loves God, and we don't have no problems as long as you do peace, as long as you don't bother me, you don't do nothing wrong with me, brother, we good. Why we get just love one another. But first you need to understand what's going on in the world and what's happening. So I'm going to have you go to this part. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. See, once we pretty much put on the table what's going on behind the scenes and what's happening out here, and know that you are going contrary and why you're going contrary, then you can get to the point to figure out what's going on, why things are the way it is. Because with status quo and living with a carnal mind, you think everything's okay. You think that there isn't a problem. You don't think you have no problem. I don't harm you, you don't harm me, I ain't did nothing to you, we all fine. But that's far from the case. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. And we're going to pick it up at verse 7. Because this is in the end of the book, but this actually is talking about the beginning. 12 and 7. Go ahead.
There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven.
So now they had war in heaven. Now if you've been around a little while, you know who the dragon is. It's going to tell you. And so they had a war up there, but go ahead.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan.
So now we know who we talking about. He was up in heaven, and there was a lot of problems going on up there. But he was cast out. Okay, what was he cast out to? Go ahead.
Which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth.
Okay, he's cast out to the earth. So now they had war in heaven, and you see he was creating havoc up in heaven. Now he was cast out to the earth. So what you think he's doing down here? But go ahead.
And his angel was cast out with him.
And popular opinion, it ain't just Satan. He got a numerous couple of angels. You've been around reading a little bit. They all got cast down with him. But go ahead.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brother, of our brother is cast down.
And that's part of his job. He's the accuser. So he's cast down, accusing, and his thing is to get everybody basically tripped up to go into the lake of fire. And trust me, he go before God and he accuse you. But skip down to read verse 12.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he know that he have but a short time.
That's good. So that's his main objective. It's like I said, is to get you tripped up. So once you find out what's going on and know everything is not so peachy, he's down here creating havoc, then you can have some open ears to see what's going on. Because a lot of times people say, I don't want to hear no negative stuff on me. It's about what's going on behind the scenes. So once you get some understanding of what's behind the scenes and what's out, now you know, okay, I'm in a battle right here. It's a war going on. And now you know you can gird yourself up. Because if you think everything is peace, you ain't gonna never gird up. You don't want to hear negativity. You don't want nobody bother you. Don't bring that to me. You're just a bunch of negative energy. Negative energy. Hey, listen, negative energy is right next to you. He's here already. So you have to get on board and gird up because, hey, the time is coming and it's getting towards the end. All right, well, let's move forward, brother. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the lesson. Tradition of man or God. Matthew 15. dealing with the Lord, like we read the scripture, that you got to make sure that you worship Him in truth. Matthew 15, and pick it up at verse 1. Brother, we get to go ahead.
Then came to Jesus the scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders?
Now, that's what's going on even to this day. When you read this book, a lot of times people want to say, you know, that was old. That's how they did it back then. Trust me, it ain't nothing new under the sun. Whatever you did, that's what you learned. And what they passed on to you is the same thing you're going to do now. So everything's the same. And trust me, a lot of traditions right now that we just been born in, you incorporate them so much you don't even realize that they're traditions. So this is what they had over here. He said, then came Jesus and the scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why your disciple transgress the tradition of the elders? Go ahead. What was the tradition?
Well, they wash not their hands when they eat bread.
And see, that's the thing. You know, they already come up. When you get incorporated in so much tradition, you start to, deviate from the Lord's stuff. Because you just incorporate what you do, and so forth. And to the point where eventually you ain't even dealing with the Lord. But go ahead.
But he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
And that's what happens right now. Even with some of the holidays, because like I said before, hey, holiday ain't nothing but a corruption of holiday. All they did was drop the Y out of I and call it a day. But go ahead.
God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and mother, and he that cursed father or mother, let him die to death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me.
And that's what happened today all the time. It's always another reason why. When you tell somebody, oh, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, they always come up with an explanation. Why is it that they don't have, well, listen, just keep it basic and do what thus said the Lord. There's always a reason why you say whatever you're going to say. But hey, it's still not true. It's not sincerity, and it's not the truth. But go ahead.
And honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have you made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition.
Go ahead, brother.
Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying.
Now, that's the same thing, like I said before. People say they don't feel it's this and they feel it that, but it's all about what you're saying through your lips. It's not about what you say through your lips. It's about what you do. Trust me, it's always going to be about what you do. Because a lot of people feel, you got to talk to the average person out there on the street. They probably had a liquor church. They say, yeah, I love the Lord, and the Lord loves me. But by what prerequisites is that true? Right. You got to have some works behind that. Because you won't be no different than anybody else. Go ahead.
Verse 8. This people draw near unto me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
But in vain they do worship me.
Now, who will say you worship in vain? Like my sister said, well, y'all do too much. That's a lot of stuff y'all doing. That's just too much, you don't think you got to do all that, But then he said right here, he said, but in vain they do worship me. So, she get mad at me and talk about, well, you want to accept this, but I accept y'all, but you don't want to accept it. But hey, if you worshiping the wrong way, of course I'm not going to accept it. Who going to accept something that's wrong? Right. And nobody even heard. He said, but in vain they worship me. That means you could be doing something for no reason. Mm-hmm. That means it don't even profit you that. So if you can say it's in vain, then obviously that means that somebody could be doing it wrong and somebody could do it right.
That's right.
Let's get away from, everybody all good and, let them do it their way. I do it my way. We all going to get there together. Listen, if you doing it in vain, trust me, we're going to all get there. We're going to be in different places when we get there.
Right.
So go ahead. You finish verse 9?
Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
And that's what they doing today. They teaching doctrines. But hey, it's of commandments of men. It's not of God. And when you start just doing a little bit of research on it, you'll come to find out that the stuff that they got you doing had nothing to do with God. Had nothing to do with it. Well, let's move forward. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7. You don't want to worship the Lord in vain and come to find out that everything you thought you was doing is no good. Because if that happened, that'd be a sad thing. You know, it'd been better for you to just go out and have your fun on the street right now, and then suffer your consequences, then to act like you was holy, and then come to find out that you wasn't. That's a terrible thing. And why would I not tell you what you're doing is wrong? If, you know, you're supposed to have somebody doing that. But see, Satan wants you to say, everybody's okay, we love everybody, we all agree. If you have that mindset, nobody can learn nothing. Matthew chapter 7, and pick it up to verse 21. Matthew 7:21. Let's get that, go ahead.
Not everyone that say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Now you see right here, he said, not everyone that say unto me. So that means, like I said before, it's a right way and there's a wrong way. Because it's telling you right here, not everyone. So somebody ain't gonna get in. Because see, you know, they like when they tell you people, when people die, they say, hey, they just go up to heaven. Everybody go to heaven. Ain't nobody in hell. Well, everybody's in heaven. Trust me, there's bad and there's good, and trust me, everybody not going to heaven when they die. So he said, not everyone that say unto me, Lord, thou shalt enter into the kingdom of heaven, but
he that do the will of my Father which is in heaven.
So first you need to make sure you're doing the will. So not only if you thinking that, you know, we all good and we all together, you got to make sure you're doing the will of God. So you have to know the will of God, and then you have to do it. But go ahead.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Now that's going to be a sad day. For the Lord, you thinking, and they trust me, they calling on the Lord. But we read already and found out, hey, lip service ain't going to get it. It's not going to cut. It's not going to get you in. So he said, and then will I profess unto them in 23, I never knew you. He said, I don't even know you. Why would he say such a thing that he don't know you? You know why? Because your works is not adding up. If you ain't got the works, he going to tell you he don't know. Because it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. He said, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Why? Because you keep sin. And sin is what is the transgression of the law. So if you're not keeping God's law, which they tell you don't have to do, then that means you can just sin. So you sin all the time. So that's why the Lord, hey, he tell you, hey, excuse me, depart from me. And we already know, we've been around for a little while, where you're going to be departed to. Well, let's move forward. Let's read the holiday chart. So we'll hand out. We're just going to read that little first paragraph for the most part. We're going to get the highlight, but when they don't have highlight, they got some exclamation points on it. Yeah. Because we're going to deal with these days.
Holidays or holy days? Does it matter which days we observe?
So, and that's a good point that they have here. Sometimes some of this stuff you got to sift through it, but when you got the good points, when you know how to deal with the truth, you deal with it. So, but this is a good point. He said, holidays or holy days, does it matter which we observe? Because that's the question. And they pose that question because a lot of people believe like it don't really matter. You know, it don't matter what you do. But we done got to this part of the lesson, we already know it matters a lot.
Right.
We done read enough script just right now to know that, hey, you better make sure you're doing it right. But go ahead.
Many people are shocked to discover the origins of our most popular religious holidays. They are also surprised to find that the days God commanded us to observe in the Bible, the same days Jesus Christ and the apostles kept, are almost universally ignored.
Okay, so now basically what the Lord had with his holy days, you know, with his feast days, and starting even with, you know, the weekly Sabbath, which is why we're here now. You know, they just didn't turn and flip stuff upside down. But just like Jesus said, in vain they worship me, teaching the right doctrine and commandments of men. That's what happens when you start to deviate from it. You know, like when they say honor thy mother, thy father. You start to deviate a little bit in a little leaven's a whole lump. Before you know it, you ain't doing nothing close to it. And that's how it starts. It starts a little, and then it blows up on it. But go ahead.
Why? Also, why are today's supposedly Christian holidays observed with so many rituals and customs that are not sanctioned anywhere in the Bible.
Okay, that's good for that. And that's the point. Why do they hide this stuff that's not sanctioned? But let's move forward. We're gonna find out why. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Because the Lord have a lot of stuff that He has set up for us to keep, and the order in which He do things. So we're gonna find out the Lord's order, because we pretty much got plenty of tradition. We know that top to bottom. I could have just took all the first part of the title off and just put God, because we already know about the tradition. But let's go. We're gonna read it. Start at verse 1, brother. Get there. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So now we even found out one thing right here is the Lord have a beginning of months here. So we want to worship the true and living God. We need to know as far as what is the beginning, what the Lord is doing. So a lot of people don't realize that, because they didn't put all the lower stuff on the back burner. You know, they didn't pretty much change all this stuff, but don't even utilize it at all. So now we need to understand and learn something about our true and living God. But go ahead.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it, according to the number of the souls.
So if you've been around a little bit, you know this is dealing with Israel, and this is just before they got out of Egypt. So, and this is dealing with starting the beginning of the Passover. But go ahead.
Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So we getting into, we saw the beginning of months, and then now we're starting to get into the beginning of the Passover. But let's go to another chart. Let's read this chart. It's history. I kind of got it in order, Lord willing. We're going to find out some stuff right here. Okay, you can go ahead and start it right at the top. You know, read what's highlighted.
Mesopotamia, Iraq, created the concept of New Year celebration 2000 BC. The Romans dedicated New Year's Day to Janus.
Okay, so now we understand what we're observing here. Yeah, New Year's Day to Janus, but he's going to tell you something. Go ahead. And what was Janus?
The god of gates.
Okay.
Doors in the beginning, for whom the first month of the year, January, is also named.
Okay, so now when you party, when the new century turn over, I'm not saying, you know, I'm just letting you know what's going on, you know. You understand what it is that you're doing, because that's what we need to know. Like I said before, I could have just put God on it, because we already know what the tradition is, but we're going to get some understanding of what this is. But this is the goddess of gate for the new year, but go ahead.
After Julius Caesar reformed the calendar in 46 BC and was subsequently murdered, the Roman Senate voted to deify him on the 1st January 42 BC in honor of his life and his institution of new rationalized calendar.
Okay, so we know, you know, for the most part of, you know, most of, if you notice, we are all Israelites, people who got some knowledge. And they understand that, hey, we was brought over here basically under like the Roman rulership, and they pretty much, whatever, we were stripped of everything we knew. So they put on what, you know, because I was talking to my brother one time, he was like, you know, yeah, you know, I understand that, man. Everything that we got right now, they pretty much taught us. So what we've been taught is what they already had on the table. Go ahead.
The month originally owes its name to the deity Janus, who had two faces. One looking forward and the other looking back.
I wonder where they got that concept from, but go ahead.
This suggests that New Year's celebrations are founded on pagan traditions.
And just like one of the brothers, Brother Jay here, he was saying, oh, they tired of people hearing people talk about about the paganism. Say, but listen, hey, it is what it is. It's pagan. And people want to push that away like it's pagan. They don't want you to say paganism. They don't, because they ain't looking at it in that aspect. But like I said before, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. But go ahead.
Some have suggested this occurred in 153 BC, when it was stipulated that the 2 annual consuls, after whose names the years were identified, entered into office on that day, though no conscience exists on the day. Though no conscience exists on the matter.
Right, exactly. They never had no understanding of what they're doing. But go ahead.
Dates in March coinciding with the spring equinox, or commemorating the Annunciation of Jesus.
See, they always try to, and see, that's what happened. Like we read, when he said, honor that mother and father, he said, when you take care of your mother and father, then you don't have to do it. See, that's when you start adding stuff into it, then you start getting sidetracked. And that's what they doing here. They starting to add stuff, and they add stuff before, and then by the time you get to the end, it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. But go ahead.
Along with a variety of Christian feast dates were used throughout the Middle Ages.
They started to mingle stuff in. But go ahead.
Though calendars often continue to display the months in columns running from January to December.
And see, so now we got some understanding. Even the new year, hey, that's based on God. See, you don't, just because you see that stuff, you say, oh man, you talk about idolatry, man. And you talk about things. I remember I was watching I watched that movie, y'all probably saw it, Waterboy. And, everything he was doing, his mother was like, that's the devil. Before I didn't understand, I was like, man, they crazy. But you had that mindset, like everything, the devil, this is the devil. But then when you start to get some understanding, you start, man, listen. Yeah, she don't seem like she was so crazy after all. Because everything around you is about the devil. But let's go forward, brother. Let's go to Leviticus. So now we're gonna get into some understanding of the Lord's days and what He got set up. Leviticus 23. And we're gonna pick it up in verse 4. Leviticus 23 and verse 4. Matter of fact, go ahead and start at verse 2.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord.
So now he's saying, speak unto the children of Israel. Notice, when you even read this to people, they'll tell you, oh, well, this is about Israel. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. Trust me, this is about God. He said, well, speak unto the children concerning the feast of the Lord. This is the Lord's feast. This don't have nothing to do with the children of Israel, even though they're dealing with it, but he's telling you, hey, this is mine. And this is the way he chose to teach all the other nations and all the sons of Adam. But go ahead.
Which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
So this is about being holy. So if you're going to be holy, you're going to do these things. Go ahead.
Even these are my feasts.
Now, he said it again. He said it twice. And there wasn't no reason for why he said it twice. So because he knew what people was going to say. He knew people were going to say, that's for them. So that's why he even said it twice. In one little paragraph, he said it twice. This is mine. But go ahead, brother. 6
days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
That's why we here today. Because we honor the true and living God in sincerity and in truth. Go ahead.
And holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
And that's what we do. We practice that. We practice what? Hey, we ain't going to do none of our own pleasures on the Sabbath day. We dedicating this day to God. He only asked for one day. Even with that, even with dealing with tithes. A lot of people say a lot of stuff, I don't want to pay my money and deal with that. Hey, look, you got 7 days in a week. Lord said, just give me one. If you got $10 and you talking about paying 10%, people say, you crazy, give me your money. Hey, you only ask for $1 out of 10. Man, that's great. For a true living God, I got 10. All I got to give you is 1. Man. But go ahead, brother.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even the holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. And the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover.
Now we got the Passover, which we started when they said put the lamb blood on there. We read that, but go ahead.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord.
Okay. So now you got now he said on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. But go ahead.
7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
Now a lot of times when you finally get some knowledge and get some understanding, and you start to keep these days, and you start to tell somebody about it, they act like it's, oh man, that's just a lot to do, or it's so hard. It's amazing how the tradition stuff you do all the time. You know, it's hard. We got this day coming up on the 25th. I don't even want to say it. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. But you got to do a whole lot of work with that. But nobody complains about that. But when you start telling about this, they say, oh man, that's a lot. Hey, this teaching you discipline. And it's you worshiping God in sincerity and in truth. Because you doing that other folly, you ain't worshiping no truth. And you don't even know what you're doing. So first and foremost, you need to understand what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. But let's move forward. Let's go to this religion tolerance chart. Because they incorporated. We talk about the Passover. And then they slid something else in with that. Because like I said before, when you start to mix and mingle stuff, you're gonna start getting sidetracked. And that's what they was doing. So let's go to the religious tolerance. And let's read that first paragraph of origin of the name of Easter. So let's see what that is.
Origins of the name Easter. The name Easter originated with the names of an ancient goddess and god.
Okay, so a lot of people go to church. I remember back in the day, you know, I was doing this follow. Yeah, I wouldn't even go to church. But on Easter, sometimes I would go. Because that was supposed to be representing the birth of Christ, which is a bunch of foolishness. But hey, we're going to go on for it. Go ahead. So we know we're worshiping a goddess. You know, like I say, it sounds crazy, but once you start to look behind the scene, because they got everything like covered up, but it ain't even deep. It's like surface matter. All you got to do is blow some wind on you to see it, but we don't have knowledge to look and see that, so you don't know it. But then you come to find out what it is that you're doing and what practice are you just doing, and we're gonna find out with that. Come on, let's keep reading that, brother.
The Venerable B. 672, 735 CE, a Christian scholar, first asserted in his book De Rationum Temporum that Easter was named after Estra.
So that's the god. That's where that name comes from. Estra is the goddess, and it's actually the god. They're gonna tell you what it is. But go ahead.
AKA Estra. She was the great mother goddess of the Saxon people in Northern Europe.
And I tell people all the time, you know, and they, you know, people don't you got Satan there. We already established that he's on this earth. They don't die. So you wonder why these goddesses, look, you see the time here. This is all right here like the 6th century BC. It's a long time ago. But those gods always seem to carry on. You wonder why. Because Satan is here. And he's behind the scenes. So they don't never die out. They just come in. Names might change. You know, stuff here and there. You know, as far as the ritual concern might change here and there. But when you get down to the core, it's the same old God. And he's still here. He don't go. People didn't die. You have a lot of people die. People live, if you even get somebody to live the longest, he probably 120 some years. That ain't even but a moment. But yet these guys going back thousands of years. But go ahead.
Similarly, the Teutonic dawn goddess of fertility was known variously as Ostar, Ostara, Ostern, Estera, Estra.
They make sure they get all these names down because in translation they have it. So they make sure that you understand what this god, who this goddess is. Go ahead.
Estri, Esther, Estra, Esther,
Right.
Ostron, and Alsos.
And look, it just keep going. Like I said, the name coach, it changed, but it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. And trust me, the practice is all the same. But go ahead.
Her name was derived from the ancient word for spring, Esther. Similar goddess were known by other names in ancient cultures around the Mediterranean and was celebrated in the springtime somewhere. Can you read?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Let's move forward. Let's go to 1 King. Because you will find out that, even some of this history that we read, you can read through the scriptures and find out some of those same gods are still here. They still here. 1 King, chapter 11. Now we're gonna deal with this here. 1 King chapter 11, pick it up in verse 5. This is Solomon. This is King David's son. Go ahead.
But Solomon went after Astara, the goddess of the Zidonians.
See, so here we go right here again. And trust me, their mindset could be just like our mindset. It ain't like, ooh, the love of God. It's just they order on how they do things. It's just been black and white right here. Just like you would think the stuff you do, I'm not looking at it like that. A lot of times people like that, they didn't look at it like that. You see, say worship God or that, they might not even looking at it just like all worshiping another God. It's your practice. But go ahead.
And after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father.
Go ahead.
Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab.
So you got all these other gods that's going on. And trust me, this is what they did. When you start reading through history, you will find out once they start conquering one land, trust me, they took all their gods with them. They continued, that was like a root of strength. They just took the gods and continued on. But go ahead.
In the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
Is another god. But go ahead.
And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon.
Okay, that was it, verse 8. He said, likewise he did, because that's what he did. He said, likewise did he for all his strange wives, which he burnt incense to. So it's a ritual. It's what you do. And that was a ritual to pay respects to their particular gods. That's a ritual. Just like the stuff that we do. When they do the Easter and the egg hunts and all that, that's a ritual. We don't look at that like that. We just look at all the kids just having fun, but they just look at it, they look at it the same way. But it is what it is. You worshiping a God. The kids just go on and paint some eggs. That ain't no harm in that, brother. What's wrong with that, brother? That's foolishness. But but back when it first started, they had a mindset like, I'm worshiping this God. I'm worshiping God of Esther. That's what I'm doing. And then as it goes down through the years, people in their mind, they want to incorporate that it's not that, but yet they still doing the ritual. So that's how Satan got you. Because in your mind, you're not doing what your forefathers did, but you're practicing the same thing. So it is what it is. So let's move forward. Let's read that piece there. Wikipedia handout. All right, we're going to read the first two paragraphs. We're going to deal with that. You get them up, go ahead.
Many, perhaps most, pagan religions in the Mediterranean area had a major seasonal day of religious celebration at or following the spring equinox. Cybele, the Persian fertility goddess,
So that's what the eggs and stuff is representing. Go ahead.
had a consort, Attis, who was believed to have been born via a virgin birth.
So now you understand how they get this corporation from. You got fertility for like being reborn again, which is what they want to contribute for with the Lord. And then they want to add in here You know, that it was this God actually was born of a virgin. Where do you think they got that from? I mean, it's a bunch of foolishness. But we need to be aware of what it is that we're doing. Because right now, we don't understand what we participating in. But go ahead, brother.
Attis was believed to have died and been resurrected each year during the period March 22nd to March 25th.
Okay, look at that. All of a sudden, he just been died and resurrected. This is foolishness we dealing with. But go ahead. And it's not like it ain't hard to see. Because a lot of people, you ain't got how much knowledge to say, what do bunny rabbits and Easter egg from one? You talking about a chicken egg and a bunny rabbit. They ain't even gonna go together. So that's just, but that's how, like I said in the beginning, how they dummy us down. Yep. Those two can't even coexist, man. Rabbits don't lay chicken eggs. People, we need to wake up. But go ahead, brother.
About 200 BC, mystery cults began to appear in Rome, just as they had early in Greece. Most notable was the Sibyl cult centered on Vatican Hill. Associated with the Sibyl cult was that of her lover.
So we already know. If you had some knowledge, you've been around a long time, we know the Vatican, trust me, they've been pumping all this religion out here. And a lot of people don't understand that, And they'll tell you, they stand by this stuff. A lot of people who don't have no knowledge, they just, But you have some people say, I ain't religious, dude. You got more religion than me. Look at all the stuff you doing. Look at all these rituals you're doing. You say you ain't dealing with religion, but you look behind the scenes. And then you say, hey, I'm Baptist, hey, you Roman Catholic. Because everything that you do, like going on the first day of the week, keeping that as you're supposed to be a holy day, hey, that was given from the Roman Catholic. Right. All that came from there. Everything you incorporated from your daily life, it came from the Vatican. They the one who pumped it out. So that's why they always say they the mother church, because they want to put it on the table. That's what you following. Even though you might say I'm Baptist or they the one that tell you, hey, I told you to do this. Yeah. I told you what you should do and when you should do it. And trust me, you've been following it. But go ahead, brother.
Attis, the older Tammuz, Osiris, Dionysus,
gods, go ahead.
Or Orpheus under a new name.
That's what they do. They switch it. They had the same thing. They just changed the god. They just changed the name on them, but the practice is still the same. Go ahead, brother.
He was a god of ever reviving vegetation.
This is crazy stuff, but you see that. And if you read the scripture, you'll see that, read through some scriptures, you'll find out that they were worshiping and crying for the goddess of Tammuz. But now you start to see what this is about and what this god is. God of vegetation, but go ahead.
Born of a virgin.
Oh my goodness. Born of a virgin. Where did they get that from? But go ahead.
He died and was reborn annually. The festival began as a day of blood on Black Friday.
Black Friday. Boy, it's a day of shopping, right? I don't know what type of shopping you're doing, but go ahead.
And culminated after 3 days in a day of rejoicing over the resurrection.
Because, hey, see, like I say, everything about what we do, it's all incorporated. It's all out there. Stuff that we participate in. We don't have no knowledge. But like I say, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But at least you have some understanding of what it is and what's going on. But go ahead.
That's it, okay.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to read it?
No, that's good. That's good. Let's move forward. Let's go to Leviticus. Go back to Leviticus 23. Dealing with the Lord's Day. What the Lord have us to do. Leviticus 23. Pick it up in verse 15. Go ahead and get that brother.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, for the day that he brought the sheaf, the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
Okay.
and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Okay, so now, you know, if you read through some of the history, you see that they have an account. They trying to basically incorporate Christianity and trying to mingle it with the Lord stuff, but it don't work. So now we see right here on verse 8, he said, you should count unto the day of the morrow after the Sabbath. From one day you brought the wave sheep offering, even 7 Sabbaths. And that will get you, with the 7 Sabbaths in one day, will get you to Pentecost. He said, even on the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you should number 50 days. And you shall offer a new meat offering. So now you went from the Passover down to Pentecost. But let's move forward. Let's read the origin of Halloween. Because when you stop, and most people with this one, they pretty much know. A lot of people say, okay, yeah, I don't deal with it. Yeah. You have people that I was got on Facebook because a couple of people I know that was, I used to know back in the day, and the two was arguing about something. And I actually don't get on Facebook that much, but my sister had got on, and she was like, honey, I might need to get my brother in on that. And I seen her little quote, so I ended up getting on there. And they was dealing with about Halloween. He had threw that was one of the questions he threw out there, and she was like, well, I don't do Halloween. But she did everything else. Mm-hmm. But since they said, this is about, demons and all that, so they kind of people don't want to deal with this. But you still need to figure out exactly what it is, what's going on, because hey, it's all the same. Mm-hmm. All of his jobs, you need to throw it all out. Mm-hmm. That's right. But let's go ahead and read that.
The origins of Halloween, what does the Bible say about that? The Bible's answer. The Bible does not mention Halloween. However,
trust me, none of this stuff in here is mentioned in the Bible. So why is it we practicing all of these things that's not even in the Bible at all? But like I was saying earlier, they don't really open the Bible up anyway. So if you ain't opening it up and reading it, you will practice whatever. You go for anything. You don't even need to. You can just tell anybody anything, brother. As long as you believe in God, you'll be all right. Just confess it with your mouth. and that's how they do it. That's it. Because you ain't read nothing, got no understanding. So that's pretty much it. You say, do you believe in Jesus? You say, brother. That's all you need to do. But let's go forward.
However, both the ancient origins of Halloween and its modern custom show it to be a celebration based on false beliefs about the dead and invisible spirits or demons.
That's what they do, but go ahead.
See Halloween history and customs. The Bible warns there must never be anyone among you who consult ghosts or spirits or calls up the dead. Deuteronomy 18, verses 10 through 12, the Jerusalem Bible. While some view Halloween as harmless fun, the Bible indicates that the practices associated with it are not.
Yeah, and that's what people, like I said before, that's what they think. They think, oh man, we just chilling, we just having fun. But hey, you have to understand how the Lord feels about it. Because trust me, it ain't fun to the Lord. How you think is totally contrary to the way God thinks. So go ahead.
At 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20 through 21, the Bible says, I do not want you to be participants with demons. Participants with demons. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it goes. Hey, when you're dealing with the true and living God, there's only one way. There's no bouncing back and forth. It's the true and the living God. They're going to tell you there's a way you're supposed to serve God. And trust me, a lot of people believe that they're doing it the right way. They feel that what they're doing is right. And they think in their heart, they said, know what? Because the Lord do look out for you. He reigns on the just and on the unjust. Right. So he may help you out along the way. Even though you're not doing right, just hopefully that he can save you later. But that don't mean that you just totally righteous on what you're doing because of that. And that's what people fail at. We're going to see why that. Right now when we get into it, let's move forward. Let's go to John. John 4. This is when Jesus was on the scene, and he was pretty much, he was walking and teaching. He was on his journey, on his ministry. John 4, pick it up at verse 1. Get that, go ahead.
When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria.
Okay, so Samaria was the northern tribes, which at this time, if you don't have any understanding, the 10 tribes were taken out of slavery. And then there was some other group of people who were put in their place. But go ahead.
Then come he to the city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There come a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, Give me to drink.
So now he was tired on his journey, and he asked her for something to drink. And this is a Samaritan woman. But go ahead.
For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria?
Go ahead. Why is that?
For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Yeah, because they knew they wasn't Israelites, even though they've been incorporated in the land. See, that's what happens when you be somewhere for so long. You start to assimilate, and you think that. I was working on the job one time, and I was trying to tell that I'm from a different place. Brother, it don't matter where you at. You here now. So you just American because you here. Now, dude, I need to know my roots and what it is and what I'm supposed to do and where I come from. It ain't just about being here and being assimilated with what's here. We need to know what's going on. So they knew this here, back here. They said, hey, we don't even talk to y'all because y'all not part of us. And they knew that because they was in the land. Right now, we don't know nothing right now because we go to the strippers. But back then, they knew that. Even she knew. That's why she said, y'all don't even deal with us. They didn't deal with them because they knew, because y'all ain't the 10 tribes. But go ahead.
Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that says to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water.
So he said, hey, if you knew it's the gift of God and who it says, see, if she had some understanding, and that's the problem today. You don't know. So you feel you got it, but she's sitting up there talking to the true and living God, and she don't even know it. She don't know what it is. So obviously, if she don't know that, then she don't know a lot of stuff. And what's happened today? You think you got it, and that's what Satan got. He got you deceived to make you think and believe what it is that you got. You doing it right, and people believe that you in their heart. I got it. I know what I'm doing. But trust me, you believe what you think you know what you're doing. But if you ain't searched it out, how can you do it? I was talking to my barber one time, and he was saying, I don't believe some of that magical stuff like a bush burning and fire and a burn. Don't even come to me with that. And fire don't consume it. Don't even come to me with that. But then I said, how much of what part of the Bible do you know how you have a problem with? And he was stuttering. What you mean if I read the book from cover to cover? Is that what you saying? Did you read? Go back and read. You said, well, I still gonna believe what I want to believe. No matter what's on, I'm gonna believe what I want to believe. Yeah, but at least you can have some more knowledge till we can deal with something and have something on the table. Because if you ain't never even read it, how can you talk about it? It's like coming to tell me about a movie, man, you ain't never seen it. Go back and watch it. Then we can have something. You might have a different opinion. Yeah, you might, but at least we can come with an educational story or conversation on what we're dealing with. Because right now, we're talking about nothing right now. Because you're just going off of what you heard. Trust me, it's what you heard, not what you know. But go ahead.
Verse 11. The woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water?
Now, obviously, this was going over her head.
Right.
The Lord was talking spiritual. She's talking about physical. But we're going to get to a point, and we're going to get to some understanding exactly what it is that we're dealing with, because she really thinks she knows what she's doing. But go ahead.
art thou greater than our father Jacob?
So now, for one, we see right here, she had already incorporated herself into Israel. Now, how can you do that when you already know that you don't even deal with the Jews, and you know the Jews are part of Israel, but now you saying you greater than our father Jacob? We got some misunderstanding, and trust me, these people have been grown up and born in that part of the tribes, in that land, in that 10 tribes spot where they was at, and they really believe that, even though they are not part of that. So you can see, so I'm just trying to, what I'm putting on the table is, trust me, there's some strong deception out here. If it's strong enough that you've been here and all along and you believe you somebody, and the people right there in front of you telling you, you ain't me, and you still believe that, you can easily get twisted up. That's how Satan gets you. Because she really believe it. But go ahead.
Which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle.
So she part of Israel, even though she talking to an Israelite. You know, not the fact that she talking to Jesus, just the fact she talked to an Israelite, and they ain't have no dinner with her. She thinks she Israel. But I don't deal with you. That's a wonder within itself. But go ahead.
Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drink of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drink of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life.
So he talking spiritual. She still ain't getting it, but go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw.
So now she's starting to say, hey, let me get some of that water. I don't need no more, but go ahead.
Jesus said unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband.
What are you going to tell him? Go ahead.
For thou hast had 5 husbands.
Now look, he tell you to have 5 husbands. So, hey, this is going about learning something on the way. But he told him you had 5 husbands. Well, she probably didn't go through the ceremony and all that. But hey, once you come together, there it is. That is your spouse. But go ahead. And she got 5 of them. And what are you about to say here?
And he whom thou now hast is not thy husband.
Okay, so guess what? She got somebody else who she's with. But we start to get some understanding, which is a whole nother lesson, but we understand that, hey, now what happened, something didn't happen there for him not to be a husband, even though he's with her. But go ahead.
And that saidest thou truly.
Because he ain't speaking nothing but the truth. But go ahead.
The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus said unto her, Woman, believe me.
That's why I tell you, you got to make sure you worship him in spirit and worship in truth. Because right now, she's worshiping, but she ain't worshiping with some understanding. She ain't got no knowledge. Go ahead.
Woman, believe me, the hour come when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what.
And that's what we do today. So now once you start to uncover all of this paganism of all these holidays, you start to understand, hey, I can tell you start telling people, hey, you worship what you know not. You don't know what you worshiping. But this is what you should be worshiping. Go ahead.
We know what we worship. Salvation is of the Jews.
Now, hey, even if you don't know who the Jews is, you know for a fact, hey, if you need to get salvation, and that's what it's all about, you need to find where the Jews at. And get some knowledge on who is the Jews so that you know what to do with. Because, hey, if you can't get no salvation, this is Jesus speaking. He said, ye worship, ye know not what. So you don't even know what you worship. So once you finally get to know what you worship, he said, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. So if you can't get no salvation, and then only you can get it from the Jews, it behoove you to go find out who the Jews are.
That's right.
But go ahead.
That's right. Verse 23. But the hour come, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him.
So, right, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
God is a spirit, And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
So much for it don't matter how you do it. It don't matter which way you do it. Hey, you got to worship him in spirit and truth. If you're not worshiping him in spirit and truth, you're doing something else. Trust me, it's down here. You got a war. And we found out that Satan is here. So if you're not, trust me, if you're not doing what God have written down in between these covers, and trust me, you're going to be doing something. You can be like, say, I don't have no religion, I don't. Hey, if you celebrating any of those holidays, you got a lot of religion. Trust me. You got a lot. And that's what it is. You can't make it in your mind or you feel a certain way, then it's not that. Because it's your practice. It's what you do. You know. Hey, I'm an electrician by trade. If you see me, I got some pipe on my truck, a bender, wire on my truck, wire nut cap that we use. And they say, you an electrician? No, I ain't an electrician, man. Well, ain't that a bender that does? Nah, man, that ain't that. You see what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. I can tell you I ain't that, but you see me pulling wires, putting outlets and switches in, and I tell you I ain't this electrician. This is foolishness, man. Mm-hmm. So come on, people, wake up.
That's right.
Let's move further. Let's go to Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 5. Because at the end of the day, you're going to make sure that you protect yourself. You have to read and study and show yourself approved and make sure you got enough knowledge to understand what it is. Because, hey, anybody going to tell you anything. And trust me, you notice that because when you say something to people, about, like you say, well, why you keep, if Christmas ain't Jesus' birthday, you know what they tell you? Oh, it don't really matter. And trust me, you can go from Atlanta, you can go all the way to the West Coast and say that they say the same thing. Oh, yeah. Why is they saying that same thing? Mm-hmm. Trust me, they all on one accord. Satan got it all on one, but they say the same, give you the same answer. Yep. Trust me, y'all gotta know who's behind the scenes. Ephesians chapter 5. Pick up at verse 6 when you get there, brother. Go ahead.
Let no man deceive you in vain words.
Because that's what they do. They gonna give you a lot of vain words. But what we already read, what Jesus said, in vain you worship him. Teaching what? The doctrine, the commandments of men. Right. But go ahead.
For because of these things come the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Hey, that's when you're dealing with the fruits. What's the fruits? Yeah, you're dealing with the truth. You're dealing with righteousness. See, once you start dealing with the Lord word, then you're starting to have some real fruits. When the Lord say you bear your fruit, the fruits he's talking about the knowledge and stuff you bring forth this of the Lord. That's good fruits. But go ahead.
Proving what is acceptable unto the Lord.
And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to prove it. And make sure you know what's acceptable to the Lord, not to you. Because the people, when they start telling you what they don't want to do, or, oh, it ain't no big deal, you making too much out of it, or that's just too much, hey, you got to find out, prove what is acceptable unto God. Stop thinking about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not about you. That's right. It's about God. That's what we hear. See, that's how Satan gets to deploy to knock you off. Mm-hmm. Because he had you thinking about other stuff. You never dealing with the issue. Oh, well, it don't make me, it don't matter what you do this long as you do that. Hey, let's deal with the issue. If you start dealing with the issue, we can get it solved. But Satan don't want you to get it solved. He wants you to always be lost. He wants you to be going the wrong way. So that way, you can never get to the point. He said when you prove everything was acceptable to God, because when you start talking about religion and dealing with stuff just like that, we're dealing with stuff that's here. It said prove what is acceptable unto God. Then you know that, hey, what we're dealing with and what is acceptable to God, that's what it's about. It's not about the children. It's not about I'm taking this away from them. No, it's supposed to be about what is for God. And once you start thinking like that, you can get to the point. Instead of worrying about what you taking from your children or what they learning, it's, hold on, wait a minute. Isn't it supposed to be what acceptable to God? Then you can take that off the table. But go ahead.
Verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness.
Because that's what it is that we practice with the holidays. That's unfruitful works. But go ahead.
But rather reprove them. For it is...
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So he said, but rather reprove them. And that's it. That's what, in a nutshell, all you're doing is searching that stuff out. When you reprove. Let's go to 2 Peter. Second Peter 2. Second Peter 2. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. 2 Peter 2 and verse 1. We'll get there, go ahead.
But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there should be false teachers among you.
So now we see that there's false teachers around us. When people read the Bible, say, oh, that was back then. No, this is right now. Stuff in Revelation, there's stuff that ain't even happened yet. Right. And these stuff in the beginning, even stuff in the Old Testament ain't even happened yet. So trust me, it's this time. He said, but there were false prophets among the people, even there should be false teachers among you. Trust me, there's false teachers out here. Because none of the preachers today tell you about anybody that's false. Everybody's good. Everybody you be around is good. My mom said she went to church. Oh, I just go to church because it makes me feel good. Hey, but then when you leave, what condition you in? It's about getting some understanding.
That's right.
If you want to feel good, man, you can go to a concert. You can go to a party. And feel real good. You can go sit at a bar and feel real good. But go ahead.
Who privilege shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them and bring upon themselves swift destruction.
This is amazing right here. He said, who privilege shall bring in damnable heresies, even the Lord. Because you have people even in the world, and then they go off on their own thing. This is exactly what happened. They start doing their own stuff. Because the Lord bring you so far and give you some knowledge. Hey, you got to be careful. Because then you'll go sidetracked. You start learning this stuff, get some understanding, and before you know it, you out the back door doing something else. Bringing some damnable heresies. You start going off on a tangent and a whole lot of stuff that's not written in this cover. But go ahead.
And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise.
And that's what they do right now. When you're dealing with trust me.
Yep.
We talk right now, we dealing with this here, and we dealing with all these pagan days and stuff. That's what this is about. This is about merchandise. Most of the people, they don't care about God. This is about making money. So if God don't make me make some money and I can incorporate this foolishness in it, that's what they doing. And we run into it in droves.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me. If Black Friday, they be killing each other.
Yeah.
It's foolishness. But we need to have some understanding on what this stuff is about. So you know what you're dealing with. But go ahead. So they make merchandise of you. That's what they doing. That's what these days is about, merchandise. But go ahead.
Whose judgment now of a long time linger not, and their damnation slumber not.
Go ahead.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell.
And we read that. We read that. So when you say cast down hell, we know it, because hell ain't nothing but a state of condition. So we know what we're dealing with. We know what's going on, but go ahead.
And deliver them into chains of darkness.
And that's what they in chains of darkness. Go ahead.
To be reserved unto judgment. Spare not the old world, but save Noah.
No, that was it. Okay. He said for them to be, he said, for God spared not the angels that sin, because hey, he gonna deal with everybody. It don't matter. So if he didn't spare them, trust me, he ain't gonna spare you, because we're a little lower than the angels. Right. So he said, but he cast them down to hell and delivered them into the chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. So it's a judgment day. Hey, and it's the right way, as we've seen, that you're supposed to serve God. And trust me, that's what give you the example of whether you're going to be in God's kingdom or not. Because that's what he judges you on. He judges you on your works and your fruits that you put on right now. But let's move further. Let's read this chart. The unraveled order of Thanksgiving. You know, and all this is just food for thought. You know, stuff that you can just, you know, look into and see what it's about. Because, you know, we need to know that. Like I said in the beginning, you know, I could just put God on there because we already know what this stuff is. But we're going to read it anyway. Go ahead, brother, you get there.
Unvarnished origins of Thanksgiving. It's pagan as they come. Read on. If we are going to observe holidays, sorry about that. If we're going to observe holidays, national or otherwise, it would be well to make sure that they have a pure origin.
And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look into it. But go ahead.
If we wish to honor the Creator, then we need to make sure that we do not create our own ways of doing so.
And we was reading that through the scripture. You want to make sure it's of God and not of something that we're doing, because that's what we saw. We saw even with the tradition of washing hands, they started to just void God's law, doing their own thing. But go ahead.
Are you interested in learning the historical facts about Thanksgiving? Let's not assume that we have no need for further enlightenment or no need to advance beyond our present condition. When we first began observing the Creator's feast appointed times, it was easy to see the pagan underpinnings of Easter, Halloween, and Christmas.
Yeah, and that's what we didn't get the Christmas part, but we read the first two. But go ahead.
We figured that our national holidays, July 4th, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, etc., were all safe. Were we wrong? After learning the truth behind Thanksgiving, it too has been jesting along with the other pagan holidays. The following information is excerpted from a chapter in an up-and-coming book of our friend Catherine Sinclair.
Now, we ain't dealing with that totally, but we just getting some understanding. But go ahead. So you got to be able to sift through this stuff. But go ahead.
Thanksgiving for the annual harvest is one of the oldest holidays known to man through celebrating on different dates.
Okay, so Thanksgiving is a harvest. It's a harvest day. So trust me, you know, it's a lot into it. But go ahead.
Chinese and Hindus are said to have celebrated harvest feast thousands of years ago. The Israelites are instructed to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, a celebration, a holy convocation that was to last 8 days. The Old Testament is repleted with commands to gather, harvest, and rejoice.
So the Lord got his harvest. But go ahead.
The most well-known are found in Deuteronomy 16, verse 14, and Leviticus 23 and verse 10. The ancient Greek harvest festival was called Thessalmophora and celebrated Demeter, the founder of the goddess of the harvest. The symbols of Demeter were poppies and ears of corn, a basket of fruit, and little pig.
See, that's the stuff they dealing with. But go ahead.
The Roman goddess of the harvest,
So they got a goddess of harvest. Go ahead.
Ceres, from whom we get our word cereal, had a festival which occurred on October the 4th. It was called the Cerealia.
So that's just stuff you can read into, understand, you know, what you're dealing with. Because there's a lot of stuff out here, you know, that we deal with that is paganism. But let's go to Exodus. Let's go back. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23. The Lord have us to worship him in spirit and truth. And there's an order on how he wants us to worship him. Exodus 23. And pick it up at verse 12. You get there, go ahead.
6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest,
That's what we're doing now, but go ahead.
that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed.
And trust me, the Lord have you doing all this stuff is for your benefit. This stuff is with another lesson. It's dealing with stuff way beyond it. So you can get some understanding. It's for you. Trust me. It's a lot into that. This stuff is not vain. There's reasons why he put all this out here. And it's not just something that you're doing just to be doing something. But go ahead.
Verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you by the circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth.
So now when you start talking about Christmas, that we already know Halloween, Easter, that's, hey, you do mention other gods, and that's what it's in your mouth. So you want to make sure you don't deal with that stuff. Stuff is garbage, and God don't like it. See, if I start saying stuff like that, the carnal mind person will look at me like, oh, he's just an evil person. But hey, we just read it right here. He said, don't make no mention of the name of other gods. He need to be heard out of my mouth. Don't even have that junk in your mouth. Because it's garbage. But go ahead.
Verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
See, and this is the stuff that we supposed to have in our mouth. Like I said in the beginning, hey, I could just took the beginning part off and just use the end. Because this is the stuff we need to know about God. He said 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. But go ahead.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
You're supposed to keep the feast of unleavened bread. Who knows about that? What is the feast of unleavened bread? What is the feast of unleavened bread about? We got so much information on this tradition that we don't have no information on God. But go ahead.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib.
Which we read, we found out, hey, that's the Lord's New Year, the month of Abib, that people don't know. But hey, in a little bit, in a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating Janus, the gods. But go ahead. But go ahead.
For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me in it.
So that's why when you see stuff like that, and you be running, they be looking at you, you be wondering why he say like, hey, you know, like they got Scrooge in Christmas, like he don't like it, like man, but we starting to be like that, cause hey, we gotta find out the root behind all that garbage, and to understand that this is foolishness. So when y'all out, you know, doing all your New Year celebration and all that, and they all partying that, like, dude, and you see some people walking around frowned up, then you know why. But like, okay, they understand that this is garbage, because they gonna look at you like you got a tail. Because you like, I'm not dealing with that foolishness. But go ahead.
And the feast of harvest.
Oh, we got a feast of harvest. We got another harvest. But go ahead.
The first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field. And the feast of ingathering.
So now you got a feast of harvest and gathering. Come on. But they got another feast though. Go ahead.
Which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
Trust me, everything that's been incorporated, what's been put on the table, they done all got it from the Lord and then changed up and added their own stuff to it. And put their own thing on the table. Hey, the Lord already got a harvest. Some people are like, well, I ain't really doing that. You know, when I do Thanksgiving, man, I'm not really, I'm just trying to praise God for what I got. Hold up, well, I don't know what you got. When I sit down with you, I don't know who you praising. Right. I got to make sure we worship in sincerity and in truth. Right. And what your truth is, it's like the woman at the well. She didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know who she was. Right. She don't understand. You got to make sure you understand what's going on out here. Right. Let's go further. Let's read the last chart. Christmas on Wikipedia. All right, brother, when you get that, you go ahead.
Celebrity customs associated in various countries with Christmas have a mix of pagan, pre-Christian, Christian, and secular themes and origins.
So it's just all mixed up. You know, when you get a little leaven, it's just, see with Satan, everything goes. That's why when you talk to everybody, when you teach somebody and try to tell them, you know what, let's learn with the true and living God, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They don't want you talking to them. My mom told me one time, don't even open that Bible up, son. And she once told me how to read the Bible, trust in the Bible. This is the truth. Read it. Then I brought it back to her. She was like, don't open that Bible. Keep in mind, I was a little overzealous at the time. I just got into it. That's what happens when you learn the truth. But still in all, she was like, I'm tired of it. They don't even want to hear it. So so in here you got mixed, Christianity. What happens is when you mix that stuff in, it just blows up. It gets crazy. But go ahead.
Popular modern customs of the holiday include gift giving, Christmas music and caroling, and exchange of Christmas cards, church celebrations, a special meal, and the display of various Christmas decorations.
See, and I had one sister tell me one time before, she was like, it's got to be about God. It's about the lights and it's beautiful. It's got to be beautiful. It's got to be everybody singing and dancing. It's got to be about something good. Hey, even the cup of the abomination, it's a gold cup. But what's inside of it? Garbage. Garbage is inside of it. It's gold on the outside. That's right. But garbage on the inside. Get some understanding. Go ahead, my brother.
Including Christmas trees, Christmas lights, nativity scenes, garlands, wreaths, mistletoe, and holly. I'm sorry, and holly. I'm sure.
No, go ahead, brother.
In addition, several closely related and often interchangeable figures.
Okay.
Dies Natalis, Solis, and Vincent means the birthday of the unconquered son.
So now that's when you starting to deal with this. We understand what this is. You starting to deal with these sun worship. But go ahead.
A festival inaugurated by the Roman Emperor
No telling. It came from them. But go ahead.
Aurelian to celebrate the sun god and celebrate at the winter solstice, 25th December.
Yeah, look at that. 25th of December is the winter solstice. I wonder how that happened. Go ahead.
During the reign of the Emperor Constantine, Christian writers assimilated this feast as the birthday of Jesus.
How you gonna assimilate somebody's birthday and say that's what it is? That's crazy. You know, if your birthday in June, I'm gonna assimilate your birthday in January. He's gonna assimilate it. That's foolishness. But when you say that, you see that that's foolishness. But this is what they did, and everybody's following it. Go ahead.
Associating him with the Son of Righteousness, mentioned in Malachi 4 and verse 2. Sol Estua. In his work of adverse heresies, Irenaeus 130 through 202 identified the conception of Jesus as March 25th and linked it to the crucifixion with the birth of Jesus 9 months after on December 25th.
This is the foolishness that they coming up with. This is how they you know, you got some garbage you're dealing with, and now you're trying to come up with a way how it's going to link in. But go ahead.
Celebration of the conception of Jesus, known as the Annunciation, became associated with the spring equinox.
We know what that was. Go ahead.
Thus led to the Christmas coinciding with the winter solstice.
Which is foolishness that they were doing before, but the people didn't want to do that, so they said, okay, we just put Jesus' name on it, but people still doing the same thing. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Go ahead.
An anonymous work known as De Pascha Computus 243 linked the idea that creation began at the spring equinox.
I wonder where they got that from. But go ahead.
On 25th March, with the conception or birth, the word Naskor can mean either of Jesus on the 28th March, the day of the creation of the sun in the Genesis account. One translation reads,
This foolishness. Go ahead.
"Oh, the splendid and divine providence of the Lord, that on that day, the very day on which the sun was made, the 28th March."
Now they do when the sun. This is foolishness. Go ahead.
A Wednesday, Christmas should be born. Christ should be born.
Right. No, there's a bunch of fools, bro. So I'm gonna do you like this garbage. But go ahead.
For this reason, Malachi the prophet, speaking about him to the people, Viking said, "Unto you shall the Son of Righteousness arise, and the healing is in his
And
wings."
trust me, this is all garbage. But let's get back to the left. We ain't got to do it all. That's what I'm saying. You got to make sure what you worshiping is in spirit and is in truth, and you have some understanding of this. The Bible gonna touch on this and tell you about that. And this is where a lot of times people go to deal with certain gods. Because I told you those gods go on from back then, and they still here. And we still deal with those gods. Well, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 10. There's nothing new under the sun. They still dealing with that false sun worship, trust me. He just got it in your mind to make you believe that, you're not really doing that, We ain't really worshiping the sun, so we're going to put this on here and we're going to call it sun, but it's not the S-U-N, it's S-O-N, but, we're going to say it's foolishness. Genesis chapter 10, Jeremiah chapter 10, and pick it up at verse 1. When you get that, brother, go ahead.
Hear ye the word which the Lord is speaking to you, O house of Israel.
So, Lord, this is the Lord talking. Trust me. It ain't no coincidence that he say this. He got to put this in there. Normally when people talk, we don't come out and say, you hear me. You don't say that. But he got to say this so that you know who's talking. Because everybody going to say, well, that ain't for God. That's not God. So he already covered. So he's already telling, hey, hear me. Hear ye the words which the Lord speaketh. So why even stop letting you know? I'm talking. So that you can't say it wasn't me. So when you come down to judgment, and you say, hey, did you read that? Did he say I was talking? When you read it, trust me, when you read it, it's the Lord talking. Even when you read it. But go ahead. Because you want to think, too, we try to, I'm sorry about that, brother. So we try to make it seem like, I ain't really see the Lord face to face, so I can look at it differently. Trust me, you saying this here, reading this here, it's just like he right there. And you're going to be judged just like he's right there. So when he say, hear ye which the Lord speaketh, he going to say, I'm talking. Right now.
Amen.
Go ahead.
O house of Israel, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain.
So they got vain custom, which we even got into the crux of this already through the lesson that, hey, your custom is vain. And we already know what happens when you're doing something in vain. But go ahead.
For one cut a tree out of the forest.
Okay, we got this tree we cutting out. We ain't going to mention this stuff because we don't even want to have it in our mouth. But, hey, one cut a tree out of the forest. We know what we're dealing with. Go ahead.
The work of the hands of the workman with an axe.
So he cutting it out. And trust me, they modernizing it now. So you go buy, you can go buy the stuff. So hey, I ain't go out and cut it. Hey, come on, you smarter than that. Let's not crazy. Let's not act crazy. Go ahead.
They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails.
They'll say, oh yeah, well I just, I ain't up for no gold, no money. Come on, these ornaments you put on. Why do we have to act like we ignorant? Like you can't see this. You're reading this out in plain black and white, and people want to act like they don't know what this is, Right. Come on. Go ahead.
And with hammers that it move not.
So now you putting it upright. But go ahead.
They are upright as the palm tree.
So now you done got a tree, you done made a stand on it. So now you go buy a stand, so that's different. Come on.
But speak not. They must need be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good.
Now that sounds crazy. Sometimes when I first started teaching, we all read this out to people because people strong on questions. They might keep a lot of other stuff, but they keep this. And then you'll see when you're dealing with this, they be like, it's upright. And he say, why you saying be not afraid of them? And you say, that sounds kind of crazy. No. I tried to avoid this when I first started. I'm going to deal with this because at the end of the day, we're going to find out that this is exactly what people do. They was afraid because they was dealing with other gods. It's idols. You would be afraid. Just like you see some of them Catholic people, they be bending down, so like you looking at them like, what's wrong with these people, man? You will be afraid of that. That's crazy. They come in there doing all that crazy stuff, Trust me. But go ahead.
Verse 6. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great. Thy name is great in might.
Go ahead. Skip down to verse 8.
But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanity.
It's a doctrine of vanity. And they even talk about that, a stock of trees. You got to get that stock that's coming. It's all brutish and vanity. You want to get away from that stuff. That stuff is crazy. And that's still stuff they do today. worshiping is when the soul said that they worship the Son. They was doing that even back in the scripture. We're going to read some of that. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 8. And pick up at verse 13. Because ain't, like I said, ain't nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Go ahead.
He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do.
I'm sorry. Now he's dealing with Ezekiel. And he got him in a vision. He let him see stuff. This is what do they do?
Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
Yeah, we started to see what the heck Tammuz was. So now they weeping for Tammuz. And we talked about that. What Tammuz they weep for? They still dealing with that goddess stuff. You can read through, you got that handout, see who Tammuz is and what it is about. Go ahead.
Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these.
I'm going to show you some more great abominations. Because see, we look at this stuff as, it's not that, it ain't harmful, it's not that bad. Hey, he said, turn ye again, I'm going to show you something greater. What is he going to show him, brother?
And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east.
They got sun worship here. So much that when the soul said they worship in the sun. That's like I said, ain't nothing new. This is what they've been doing. They got all these gods, they've been passed on because Satan is still here. And as long as he is, he's going to keep passing these gods on. Let's move further, brother. Let's go to Exodus. No, go ahead and read that. You read that last, brother.
Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here?
Because that's what it is. The Lord trying to let you know that this stuff is garbage. It's abominable. This stuff that you're dealing with is abominable, and he hates it. But go ahead.
For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger.
See, and that's what happens. When you start falling away from the Lord, it's going to be filled with violence. And that's what's going on in the land right now. You turn away from the Lord, everything's filled. You look up, there's violence everywhere. Turn the news on, you want to see the news. But you turn the news on, hey, they tell you about some violence. And that's where we at right now. But go ahead.
And lo, they put the branch to their nose.
Yeah, because hey, that's the way, that's the condition we in. This is what we dealing with. So we have to understand exactly what it is. Now let's go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. Pick it up in verse 1. When you get that, brother, go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying.
So you notice he said that, and God spake all these words. Trust me, that ain't no coincidence. He said that God ain't, because people always trying to figure out the way out of something. But go ahead.
I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
So he letting you know, right, first and foremost, you should have no other God before him. So, and now that we got some understanding, we know what it is. Because notice when you don't have no understanding, you read this, it's like, okay, well, I ain't putting no God before you, but now you know where the God's at. Because Satan got him under cover. He got them now, we just exposed them, we know where they at. So we know if we do that, we put them before God. Have that understanding. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
So now we know, say don't have no graven images. So now we know what we do or what we used to do when we had to understand what image we used to have. Because a lot of times you read this and see old movies, see old things, you're like, oh man, I wouldn't bow down to that. I wouldn't do nothing like that. I wouldn't have nothing like that in my house. I wouldn't have no sound like that. But when you look at the whole thing, when you look at it, you drag that tree in there. What the heck is this? Get some understanding. Go ahead, brother.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
And you know what? I was dealing with one guy I was working with, and he was saying, well, I don't bow. I just get the great gifts and stuff. But I said, you got to bow down to get the gifts. I don't really celebrate it like that, brother. We just like to give stuff. I said, what is that song? Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, what is that? That's what you think that is. His mouth was closed. Because, hey, that's what it's all about. You can't change it within yourself on how you think you feel. Your practice is garbage. And that's what it's all about. And the Lord hated it, as we can see. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
Because that's what's important. Keep your commandments. But go ahead.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. For the Lord will not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain.
Go ahead.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
This is what we're doing now. Go ahead, brother.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
So we got the tradition. Now we want to keep the other side, or God, because that's what we want to be about. We already see what the tradition is. So the tradition of man of God, choose what side. Go ahead.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
So this is a blessed day. People want to say, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored. But guess what? When you keep the Sabbath, you're blessed. And it's not just coming from your mouth, it's coming from the Lord. Amen. The Lord said, you come today, guess what? Everybody that's in here, y'all are blessed. Amen. Go ahead.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God give thee. Thou shalt not kill.
Which they try to do away with that one, or trying to find a way out of it. I try to make sure I'm real nice to my mom. Even if she try to make me upset, I just turn around. Because, hey, I know I ain't going to live long unless I be obedient to my mom. So I be like, Mom, you won't be okay. All right. Hey, you got to walk softly. Hey, because your life depends on you. Hey, be cut down.
Yeah, that's right.
But go ahead.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
What's wrong with this stuff? You start telling people this stuff and reading this stuff, dude, they act like you just a tale. You act like somebody, am I using profanity up here? Because you start telling this, it's just like it is, because they be looking at you like, what's wrong with this? Y'all act like this is something wrong with this. I don't understand.
Right.
You say you love the Lord, I start reading this, you go the other way. Something wrong, but go ahead.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
And ain't nothing wrong with that. All this is holy, just, and good. And if you want to be holy, and you want to practice about what serving the Lord is all about, then you should love all this.
That's right.
And, I did a lesson before that, that says, hey, and I kind of changed it a little bit. I did in Philly. I said, hey, if you don't keep the commandments of God, I said your heart's not right, but really should have said you are evil. But I didn't want to put that down because it might be too hard for some people, but that was the title. You don't keep the commandment of God, you are evil. Because there's nothing wrong with this. This is righteous. But let's move forward. Let's go to the last scripture. Matthew 19. Matthew 19. up at verse 16. Matthew 19, pick up verse 16. When you get that, brother, go ahead.
And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life?
And that's what it's all about. It's about getting eternal life. But go ahead.
And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the
And
commandments.
that's what it is. Hey, if you want to get life, you need to keep the commandments. But go ahead.
He said unto him, Which? Jesus said, Thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness.
Read that out. Go ahead. Read 19.
Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Hey, and if you do that, you do well. Because listen, what we have here, like he said, honor thy mother and father, but also he said, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Hey, what's going to be predicated when you getting in the kingdom? You're not dealing with God face to face. You're dealing with your brothers and sisters. So how you treat one another is going to tell you how you're going to get into the kingdom of God. I thank y'all for y'all time.
But you're not